All right, guys, today I am bringing you an interview with Beau, aka BeauwithaBang. You may recognize him from the Daily Fortnite Discord server, guys. He hangs out there. He's a great community member, but he does a lot of other stuff as well. He is big into Save the World. We're covering the Save the World patch notes, so I wanted to bring in an expert to help me out with this stuff here. Go ahead, Beau, introduce yourself.
Hey everybody, it's Bo, Bo with a Bang. You can find me on Twitter as Bo with a Bang in the same way as on Twitch, although I haven't been streaming as lately with a new job.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You got a new job. Congratulations with that, by the way.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to ask you a couple of questions off the bat, though. Just I was wondering because you, like I said, you are a great community member for the Daily Fortnite. So, how did you first off find the Daily Fortnite podcast, and then what brought you into deciding to join the Discord?
So I live in Chicago, lots of public transportation here, great way to get around town, which means almost everybody has a pair of headphones with them and they're listening to music or podcasts or whatever. So I'm a big believer in listening to podcasts. Got a great lineup and was looking to add something related to Fortnite. Went to the app and searched for Fortnite and found a couple of podcasts. The first two had a couple of 20 or 30 episodes, but they hadn't published anything in a couple of months. And then number three right there was the Daily Fortnite podcast with an episode every day. I said, surely this can't be real, but yeah, you do a really good show.
Awesome, thank you. I actually get that a lot. A lot of people, especially in the beginning, yeah, they're like, "No way is this guy going to do an episode every day." But here I am, 400, and I think this will be episode 461. So, you know, 161 episodes later, and I haven't missed a day. So yeah, we're every day.
That's it. So around the same time, I was just getting into Twitch and following people, Save the World streamers. There's a very small community on Save the World on Twitch that broadcast, and I found a guy that I liked to watch. And around Christmas time, around New Year's, he took some time off, and when he came back, he said, "Guys, I'm not really coming back. I've got life and job and new wife and that kind of stuff, and so I think I'm just going to take a step back from streaming and whatnot." I was a member of his Discord community, so I decided to start out there and looking for some other place to call home. And was listening to your podcast regularly at that point, and you'd mentioned there was a Discord community, so I joined up. And I have to say, it's probably one of the most active Discord communities, Fortnite related, that I've ever seen. I'm a member of. Look at my screen here, probably 10 or 12 different Discords, and there's a message or two a day on each one of them, except for yours. So I mean, it's a great community. There's lots of great people there. It's a very enjoyable place to be.
That's awesome. Yeah, and you're a great community member to have in the community. Honestly, like I have said that already, and I've noticed that as well. I've joined other discords, and like you said, they're not as active. And it's funny that you mentioned about the podcast too. Like, I'll still go on Apple Podcasts and I'll look up Fortnite just to see, kind of how I'm doing. And there's still, like you said, there's podcasts that haven't, uploaded episodes in like a year now, who still like show up in the podcast feed. That I was like, what are these still showing up in here for?
You got to wonder how
Ahead of
long it
mine,
takes for them
like,
to drop off the list.
yeah, I know. Like, okay, but no, yeah, that's awesome. That's great. I mean, we are lucky to have you in the community. I'm sure whatever other you know Fortnite communities you hang out in are lucky to have you, because you really are a good positive person to have in a community. So I really appreciate having you here, which is one of the reasons why I decided to have you on the show. And especially since you know a lot more than Save the World than me.
Fair
Uh,
enough.
but so, other than Fortnite, just kind of getting to know you a little bit more, I was wondering, how long have you been a gamer? Like, how long have you been into games in general, and what games were you into before Fortnite?
So I was born in the early '80s, which means my first gaming, machine was an old DOS PC. Played a lot of, yeah, a lot of old DOS games, Naval Sims. My uncle had a Commodore 64. Played like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, text-based games on that. I mean, old stuff. But for gaming, really, aside from the PC stuff, I bought an original Xbox and played Halo 1 and 2 on that. Bought an Xbox 360, played some
Ooh,
games on that for a while. I was really big into Grand Theft Auto Vice City for a while and
oh,
did
there you
that.
go.
And then, yeah, and then, life just got busy. And honestly, for about 10 years, I would buy a title and then not really play it. And then eventually I stopped buying consoles. Um, I've got my partner Eddie here for 7 years. We've been together, and he games with his brother and sister every single day. That's how they, as a family, communicate and talk and just kind of, keep track of each other. And they were playing Overwatch all the time, and then they started playing this other game. And I heard him talk about this map that looked like it was shaped like Poland, and then there was a comet in the sky, and then the comet destroyed a place, and then there was an alien, and then a rocket ship, and all that stuff. And I was like, "What are y'all playing?" And he says, "You got to try this. This is Fortnite." So I tried Fortnite and got my butt kicked every single time. It was very discouraging at first. I'll be quite honest with you. And I played it on and off for a while. I guess it was probably season 5 or around there, maybe season end of season 4, and then kind of just gave it up. But every time I would launch into Fortnite Battle Royale, there was always this other option, Save the World, that was there that cost money. So one day I just decided to look into it and bought it and fell in love with it. I mean, it was the same type of play style, the same type of characters, but it had a funny storyline and it was just engaging and it was fun. And I convinced other people to join with me, and that's how I kind of fell into it.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. So that's cool because I was actually a big Halo fan as well. I kind of happened. There was like I wouldn't say it was a 10-year period for me, but there was definitely a period for me too where gaming for me, like I would only buy like a title or two a year, and then I would to just play that all year, and then I kind of fell off of shooters. But actually, it's funny that you said your partner and family, they were doing Overwatch, because I was big into Overwatch before I got into Fortnite, and that was actually the first shooter that I had played in a while. And then same kind of thing for me. I kept hearing about this Fortnite, and I tried it when it first came out, and when it first came out, I was kind of like, oh, this doesn't seem that good. And then I just kept hearing about like they did this, they added this, and I was like, man, this game is getting updated all the time. I need to go back in there and check it out again. And I think it was around like the end of season 3 when I got back in, and then I was like, oh wow, this game is amazing. And then started the podcast, and here we are.
That's it.
Uh,
They still play Overwatch. Well, I'll play a couple of rounds with them in Fortnite, and whenever I'm done or they're done with Fortnite, every night they go back over to Overwatch. So it's still a big game for them.
yeah. So for Save the World though, so like I said, you just decided, you saw it sitting there and you were just like, oh, why not try this out?
Yeah, pretty much. If I wasn't doing a very good job at cooperative games, and believe me, I played PvP games in the past. I loved Doom and Doom 2 and Quake Arena and Unreal Tournament when those things came back out. But that was '90s, and I was a kid. You know, but if PvP wasn't doing it for me, I figured I'd try this other one out. And the cooperative nature of it, and it's not a jump in and get into a fight type of situation. There's some planning for each mission and strategy and building your characters, and now the way that the system is set up, it's your heroes are completely customizable and perkable as long as your weapons. It's really kind of make whatever you want with it type game, and it is not as polished as battle royale. Probably they're still in development and it doesn't have an end game yet, but they're continually adding to it like they do battle royale, and so it's really engaging and entertaining.
Okay, yeah. Well, you mentioned it there, so obviously no end game yet. Obviously, like Battle Royale, it's a game constantly in development. For me, for Battle Royale, and, I just love the suspense that the chance, like, hey, I might win this game, or I might get into some crazy battle and I might actually have a chance to win the battle. So that's kind of what keeps me going with Battle Royale, and what has me hooked about that. So I'm curious, what has you hooked about Save the World that keeps you going back constantly to play all the time? Because for me, I've mentioned this on the podcast before, that I go in there all the time to sign in for my daily rewards, because you get those sweet daily rewards, and once a week you can get those free V bucks for signing in for your daily rewards. But I tried playing it. I only gave it a chance one day, so I haven't given enough of a chance really. But I didn't find what something in there that but it hooks in me. But this was like months ago, so it was a lot different state than from what it is in now. But just, yeah, what keeps you going back there constantly?
So aside from it being a very fun game, it's a fun game to introduce new people to. You can hop into a low level lobby and find some kid who's just playing it. Maybe he's coming in for the V Bucks, but it's you can show them a couple things, and they really do kind of fall in love with it. And I really enjoy that part of it. That and the community aspect of it. The few streamers that they do, and there, don't get me wrong, there's a number of streamers that do Save the World, but there's not as many as Battle Royale. But the number of streamers that are in there, they're fantastic people. They're fun to play with. You can go into their streams and play with just about any one of them if you just ask. And they're pros. I'm decent at the game. They are pro level. Some of them are partnered with Epic, that kind of thing, and they're just the friendliest people out there to play with. And the storyline does evolve. There are the story is not finished, so they're working on that. But aside from that, there's all these side quests and side events that are being changed just as often as the seasons are in Battle Royale, where you have new objectives and new quests and new funny storylines and new characters and new heroes to gain. It's ever evolving, and so it's hooked just like you are hooked with Battle Royale and myself. Just how much we love that. Save the World is the same but different. It's a different type of game, but it's that same kind of enjoyable pullback to it.
Okay. Well, you mentioned since like I said, I'm really unfamiliar with it. You mentioned, the game evolving and stuff like that, and you mentioned the battle royale season. Is there seasons like that for Save the World? Like, is that how they progress the story, or how does the story progress?
So the stories right now, there's four different biomes that you go through, and the scripts are kind of set in order. So if you were to start playing the game today, you would start off with the same storyline that I started off with when I started way back when. But and you would progress through these four biomes all the way to the point now where they're still finishing the story. But starting around season 6 or 7, they kind of synchronized the changes to Save the World with the changes in the seasons for Battle Royale. So every time a new season Battle Royale comes out, you'll get a new quest line. Like right now, there's a sci-fi quest line that came out, and before that, there was the Love Storm and the pirate theme that came out around the same time as Season 8 did for Battle Royale, with a whole nother set of missions, a new storyline, a temporary storyline, and quests. Fort Nightmares is big during October, just like it is in Battle Royale, with some really fun missions. That's kind of when I started playing it. Um, there's so it does they do keep changing things just like they do in Battle Royale, and they're doing a better job of that as well.
All right, that's awesome. Um, so for the storyline, I mean, does it max out? Do you reach? I mean, you said the story's not done, but right now, is there an endpoint where you go, you get to, and you're like, hey, this is the end of what they have right now. I can't further along in the story anymore, or how does that work?
Right. So you're the way the game works is that you're given an objective with each step in the story. So it's there's some backstory to whatever's going on. There's conversations between two or more characters, and they say, okay, in order to do what we need to do next to for to protect the storm or protect the against the zombies, you need to go and gather this stuff, or you need to go do these things. Think of them like the challenges that you find, um, the daily challenges or even the weekly challenges you find in battle royale. Those are for every mission. Go collect 20 teddy bears, or go and kill this many husks of this type, or go set these periscopes up to go look for underground bunkers, that kind of thing. And it kind of moves from that, through the story like that. Eventually you'll get to a point where those stories kind of stop because they haven't finished the storyline, but you can still play missions, and each mission that you play, in addition to that main objective that I talked about, has other rewards. You get materials for evolutions to make your guns better, or you can get a different hero, depending on whatnot. And they update the awards for every uh, place on the map once a day. So those rewards are always evolving, and you can play easy rewards if you go to the Stonewood missions, and then progressively through Plankerton, Caney Valley, and Twine Peaks. You can pick which mission you want if you've opened them all up.
Got you. So that makes me curious. So I know you can have multiple heroes, right?
Absolutely. So usually main one hero, the person that you see on the screen. But with the one of the recent changes that they've made, you can now take other heroes that you've acquired and upgraded, and you can take their perks. So, one of the things in Battle Royale is that every player, regardless of the skin, is basically the same starting off, and they have no guns and they have no abilities. They're just a skin, regardless of who you are. And any kind of differences you may see in the skin are basically just the skin, cosmetic. And Battle Royale, excuse me, in Save the World, every character you have, what we call heroes, has a specific type of perk to it. So you can have one person who, every time you shoot a husk and you crit, you get more damage on the next shot. And so progressively your gun gets better. Um, a constructor who is really good at building things and can use materials well can pick up a hammer and start swinging around and knocking husks around and be pretty much invulnerable while he does it, depending on the perk. So each type of hero that you have has these different types of perks, and then you can take other heroes and slot them in support roles to get those perks as well. So you can pretty much customize your player however you want to. And the same with the guns. You can pick up a gun, you get a schematic to make a gun, and then you can re-perk that gun to make it more effective against different types of monsters, or have more knockback or more damage or more crit possibilities, that kind of stuff.
Okay, gotcha. So that seems to me like that would be another thing that would keep you playing the Save the World if it was something that you really love too. Is that that you could level up all your different heroes you have and try to get them all strong. I don't know if that's something you do, but that seems like something that would interest me. I'm the kind of person who, I love the Final Fantasy games growing up, and I would always try to max out all the characters.
Yep.
Everybody on the team. So, it didn't matter who it was. I tried to max them out, all of them out, always. So I don't know if that's something that you try to do
Yep.
with your
Same here.
heroes. Okay.
Same here. Yeah.
Um, is there a max level that you can reach with the heroes then, and then you're just like, okay, I max this hero out, and I'm gonna switch my main until I get this one max, or how does that work?
So there's an overall, like, for Mike or for Bo, there's a power level that your account can reach up to, and that maxes out at 131. But that really just says what kind of what your maximum range is for your heroes and your weapons. Each hero you have to individually level up as well, and they reach up to about, I think it's 130, if not 131. Same thing with the weapons. So you can grab a 130 hero and a 82 gun, and you should be okay in a 58 mission. But if it's the other way around, you're going to have some problems if you grab a 20 hero and a 58 gun and go try to do a 131 mission or something like that.
Gotcha. All right, so I'm going to ask you a two-part question here, since again I'm not really that familiar with Save the World. I went in and I did a couple mission once, and this was sometime last year, so things were not as organized as they are now. I've gone in and I've looked at the user interface now, and I've looked at the starting screen. Everything's a lot more organized than it used to be, so I'm sure it's a lot easier to follow for somebody new coming in and trying out for the first time. For me, when
Hmm.
it was really confusing. But for somebody who is starting out now, like, what is your favorite type of hero to play? And, is it the same that you would suggest somebody playing? Or if there was somebody new who was just deciding now that they were going to try Save the World out because of this interview, like, what kind of hero would you suggest they play to start out?
So if you're just starting off, and I see this all the time with new players, they like to play ninjas because they have an ability to do a double jump, which lets them jump twice as high. And they can go into a mode called Shadow Stance, where they can get up into the enemy's faces and not take as much damage. They kind of disappear off the screen. Those are really fun to play with. You've got a soldier as well, who is more of your DPS type character, and then another odd character called an Outlander, which allows you to basically punch through materials like rocks or trees or walls or whatnot, and instantly turn those into materials that you pick up. Um, those are kind of, depending on how you want to play the game, those are, the ninja is usually what people start out with, and then they either move to an outlander or they move to the soldier, especially once they start unlocking the individual perks and benefits of those types of heroes. And then the fourth class is a constructor, which is really good at building things and is good with heavy hammers and stuff like that. But I'd say, go for your ninja. Find a ninja. Um, you start off with Ramirez, I think, who was the main soldier, but after that, grab a ninja, jump into some fights, swing some swords, have some fun.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds good. All right, maybe when I jump back in there, maybe I'll need to find myself a ninja. And which one was your favorite? I might have missed that.
So just depending on what kind of mission I play, I'll either run as an outlander or as a soldier typically. But really, the four classes of heroes that you can run as really complement each other. And the best way to play is to have someone, because there are four party lobbies, just like Battle Royale. The best way to do it is to have one from each class join up and use those individual perks together to make the team work with each other.
Oh, okay, gotcha, gotcha. So, do you have like a group of people that you play Save the World with, and you kind of plan that out and strategize which heroes you're going to use, or do you just go in the random fill and just go off of that and decide with the random fill people you play with? Hey, I'm going to do
I,
this
I, I
hero, or
I do both. I've got family that plays with me, and we tackle missions and kind of help each other knock out quests and storm shield defenses and that kind of stuff. And we play well together. But some nights I'll jump into a random fill lobby and try to help out wherever I can with some random folks. Or, there's a couple of folks in the Discord who have since started playing Save the World since they've joined the Discord, or shortly before there, and playing with them is equally as fun too. Like I say, I'm not the top dog expert in the game, but I have been playing it for a while, and I'm fairly high level. and I'm always enjoying helping people, show them strategy, show them build types and trap usage and that kind of stuff.
That's awesome. Um, so I mentioned this earlier because again, last year, man, when one of the things that turned me off was that when I first got in, I could not figure out what I was supposed to do. There was like no real good tutorial.
There isn't.
I couldn't figure out the menu system. It was confusing. So like I tried it out a couple times because like I knew there was additional, as you said, challenges you could do to earn in even more V Bucks, and that's kind of what got me into Save the World. Anyways, is they were having a sale, and then I was like, oh well, they're having a sale on it, and you can get free V Bucks, and you could do challenges to earn more V Bucks, even because somebody had told me, somebody else from the community had told me that they earned like over 2,000 V Bucks one season, and they were just like, oh that was just from signing in and from doing the daily challenges or whatever. And I was like, oh okay, wow, like that's a lot of free V Bucks I could be getting. I might as well, get it and make it useful. But again, it was really confusing. So, what is your opinion on the current state of Save the World? Like, how far has it come since last year? And what's the difference? I know they've been doing a lot of patches. Like, what would you say? Is there big improvements? What would you like to see further improved? Any really opinion that you have about the current state of Save the World?
Sure. So even though you and I and the majority of the Fortnite community are fairly new to Fortnite because it's a fairly new product as far as we consider it, the original Fortnite, what we call Save the World now, is probably 7 years old since its alpha, and it has jumped leaps and bounds in improvement since then. As any alpha and beta are, they are buggy and have problems, and you work with the players in order to fix these bugs and that kind of stuff. And the odd occurrence for Fortnite is that they decided somewhere through version 1.3 or something like that to add this battle royale mode, right? And it, of course, history blew up. Everything everybody knows about Fortnite. It's in the in-game movie, right? So we're all familiar with Fortnite. Um, and it is absolutely the money maker. And unfortunately, some of that means that the resources have been diverted to battle royale and not save the world. So they're not as polished and working as much as we'd like it to be. But considering the circumstances, and I'm sure that battle royale and the money it makes does support save the world and keep it afloat. But with the latest couple of versions that have come out, it has really become a solid game. Yes, there still are bugs. Yes, there still are issues. But I think that's the state of game development these days. I mean, Fallout 76 came out and immediately crashed on its face. That's kind of the way games are these days. We're not all Nintendo where they work on a product for 8 years and turn out, Zelda Breath of the Wild. It's absolutely beautiful. That's just the way games are today. But I'm very happy with the changes they've made in Save the World since it started. There's a lot of things to do. They need to finish the storyline. There's a couple of what they call quality of life improvements that the community's been asking for, and they promise that they're going to bring to us. And the other reason, some silly things. People in Save the World want to be able to use the emotes that they buy in Battle Royale in the Save the World mode. That would be nice. It's just a nice thing to have. They're working on that. So, I've got to give a lot of credit to the team. They've brought this game leaps and bounds from where it started. It's a fun game to play, and I know that they have the intentions of making it the nice and shiny product that when they do release it. And they've been talking about it for a year, but eventually they are going to make it free to play. I can't promise that the V Bucks incentives will be there once it's free to play. So I encourage anyone who's interested in that to jump on it now, especially get it if it's on sale at some point, because usually it does drop down to about $25 to buy. And of course, you're gonna earn back that in V Bucks many times over. So
Oh yeah, I mean I have just from doing every. I mean because I got it like I said sometime last year, and yeah, I've earned the V Bucks back many times over. Especially when I got it the 50% off when it was like $20 or $25. I've earned way more V Bucks than that, so it was
yep.
definitely worth the purchase just for the V Bucks alone.
And if I
But
could if I could just touch on that real quick, just so I can, for any of the listeners who are curious, what does it mean by getting V Bucks out of this? Every day when you sign into the game, you get some kind of reward, and about once every 14 days or about that, one of those rewards is going to be V Bucks, and it's anywhere between 150 to 800 V Bucks. Sometimes it's over 1,000 V Bucks if you've been in the game long enough. Aside from that, there's daily quests or daily missions, daily challenges, I should say, just like there are in Battle Royale. Each one of those is worth at least 50 V Bucks. And then the base that you're working in is called a storm shield, and each biome has 10 levels of storm shields, and each one of those gets you 150 V bucks. So over time, I mean, daily challenges alone, 350 V bucks a week. Sign in every day, get a couple hundred more. You know, do the storm shields, which the first 20 are fairly easy. You know, that's a couple thousand V bucks right there. I mean, that's worth it alone. And I'm hoping that when you come in and get those V bucks, you'll enjoy the game enough to stick around and play with us.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's actually every 7 days because I sign in every day to at least get those V
Is it
bucks.
7 days?
Yeah, every 7 days I get another V buck reward, and like you said, it's anywhere from 150 V bucks, and then it scales over time to eventually you get 800 V buck reward for that week. And it happens. I can't remember how often that is. Like every 8 weeks or something. I don't know, but you get 800 V bucks
Something
just
like
for
that.
signing in. And like you said, you can get 350 V bucks a week just for playing those daily missions. I need to start getting in there at least doing those daily missions now. Then that's actually a lot of V bucks. um, because I've actually been watching some, as you said, there's some actually, like you said, and they have really good communities too. Some of these Save the World streamers, and the communities are always, like you said, they're a little bit smaller, but they're always really nice. I was just watching, maybe you've heard of them. I don't know if you told me about them. It might have been somebody else who told me about them as well. Animosity OP.
Oh,
Uh,
he's one of my favorites. Yeah, he's
oh,
great. I
okay.
was in his stream earlier today.
Yeah, yeah. I was watching him a little bit earlier today, and I've watched him a couple other times in the past. I don't think it was you. Somebody else told me about him, but yeah, I really like him. Um, and yeah, they're just good communities. But whenever I do go in there and watch Save the World now, like compared to what I played, last year, I'm just like, okay, this does look like a legitimately fun game. Like I should get in there and play it, and especially if I can get 350 V bucks a week just for playing the daily missions, and maybe I will start playing it a little bit more often. But I mean, I can tell the difference again from just what I played last year to this year that it looks so much smoother on the menu screen, and then the game itself looks fun, especially I guess once start unlocking those perks and getting those powers for your heroes.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, I always like to ask people as well, like, how do you balance your gaming life with your family and work life? Because obviously you just got a new job, and again, congratulations on that. And then, I know you got a family, you got your partner, but it sounds like you play video games with your partner and his family, and possibly your family as well. Is that what I heard? Is that how you balance, or how are you able to balance all that out?
Sure. So yeah, my partner is actually finishing up. He's getting his PhD here in Chicago, and he's finishing up with that. So technically, he's a student and doesn't have a. I'll laugh and say he doesn't have a real job. He's just a student. But a PhD, getting a PhD is a job.
Right.
And I worked from home for the longest time, and basically had free time whenever I didn't have a client call or client work to be done. That kind of thing. Now that I've got a regular old 9 and 5 like the rest of you suckers, really it's just managing time. Luckily, he does like to play games, so I get to spend quality time playing games, which is a good thing. And then, for everything else, there's if it's something that you want to do, you make time for it. If it's friends, you make time for it. If you want to go out and see a movie, make time for it. Family, the same thing. If you can incorporate those things together, even better. But do what's important for yourself. Do what's important for your physical and mental well-being, and do what's important for your family, and everything else will fall in the line. I need really should be asking you the question, Mike. Two, now three kids, multiple jobs. I know, um, podcast every night, and you still manage time to actually play the game. That's an accomplishment if you ask me. So
Yeah, well, I kind of talked about it when I did the interview with Monster D Faces. Yeah, I schedule it out usually to where I know the rest of my family is asleep, and I sacrifice a little bit of my own sleep just that way I can play a little bit and do some of this other extra podcasting stuff that I love to do. Because again, it's something that I just love to do. I would want to be doing it anyways. So I'm lucky that my family's understanding. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, we know that you want to do that. That's fine. And so even now, even though I'm doing this during the night, they're like, okay, yeah, we know that you want to go do this interview. Or earlier today I was playing with Bob from the community, and they were like, yeah, you could go play for a little bit. So they, even if I do want to play during the day, I got a good family that are like, they're supportive. So
absolutely, that's important.
yeah. um Last thing I'd like to ask of you is, you are, you said you're not the best Save the World pro in the world, but I mean, compared to me, especially, you are a Save the World pro to me. So, what kind of tips or tricks could you give to our listeners for Save the World?
So if you're coming over from Battle Royale, remember that this is not a 90s build game. This is not a outbest your competitor. This is more of a planning and strategic game. So, you go into a mission, you try to figure out what the objective is, you prepare for the objective, and then you start the objective, which is usually a defense of some kind. Make sure that you're ready to go before you start the objective. Make sure that everyone who's playing, whether it's a random fill or friends of yours, make sure you're all on the same page and you've got a plan on how to do the objective. And starting out, a lot of those things you can just kind of shoot your way through or throw up a couple of walls and defend that way. But as you get into the higher level missions, go to YouTube, go to some of the discords, watch some of the streamers. These guys who have been doing this for a long time, and watch what they do. Ask them for tips. Learn some of the more basic builds or some of the more advanced builds that you can use in order to complete the objective. I'll give a great example. David Dean is a YouTuber. Um, he's retired from the military and now spends his time making YouTube videos. And he has recorded himself playing the game, doing all sorts of missions where he doesn't have to fire a single bullet because of the builds he's made and the trap layouts he's used. And he's analyzed this game to every inch of its life and can tell you exactly how to do it solo, right? So go watch some of his stuff and figure out some of his techniques. Maybe not to the extent that he's done it, right? But go to social media, figure out who's doing what. Watch the way just like you put out videos on techniques that people use to get into someone's build, or throwing a clinger at somebody and then hitting a riff so that they can knock them out in the air, that kind of stuff. There are strategies in Save the World. Go seek those out on YouTube from streamers and learn from them. Have in the game, ask someone what's the best way to do something. I'm sure that people have different opinions, but come together and learn from each other.
Awesome. Those are some good tips and tricks. I definitely have to start looking up more of those, streamers for Save the World, and try to up my Save the World game so I can start earning those 350 V bucks. All right, but well, thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. Again, you're a great community member to have in the Discord. Really appreciate it. I mean, always so supportive of everybody in there. So you're just totally awesome. I'll give you a last little chance here to plug your social medias so people can go follow you.
Absolutely. So I'm on Twitter as BeauwithaBang, same as on Twitch, twitch.tv/BeauwithaBang. I've got YouTube videos put up there, but they're a little bit harder to find, but I do post those YouTube links to Twitter. And let me plug, if you don't mind, we're having another large party squad rumble this weekend, like we have done for just about every other weekend since it became available. And that's at noon Central Time. But before that, at 11 Central Time, we're going to do a little prop hunt too, since that's currently something that seems pretty fun to play.
Awesome. Can't wait. I mean, those are fun things that we do in our community here, Daily Fortnite, and I appreciate that you organize a lot of those as well. All right. Well, I know you know the slogan for the show, so if you don't mind, if you want to close out the show by saying who you are and the slogan "Don't get lost in the storm," I'd really appreciate it if you do that for us here as well.
Certainly. This is Bo with a Bang reminding you, don't get lost in the storm.